No one saw it coming. At the far edge of the galactic core, where stars glowed cold and forgotten, a strange signal appeared. Not loud, not urgent, just present. A steady pulse. One beep. Then another. Then silence. In the deep control chamber of the Galactic Council station, alarms remained off. The signal didn't match any known threat. Still, the signal repeated. Soon, it showed movement. Something larger than any registered vessel was drifting through deep space. The first ones to see it were miners on the dark moon Cora 6. Their screens went black. Then came a slow, cold shadow moving past their station, blocking starlight for several minutes. One worker whispered, "Is that ... a planet?" But it wasn't. It was a ship. The Council's High Alert Center activated. Dozens of species began analyzing the object. It was shaped like a dagger pointed forward, almost a kilometer wide at its center and over 15 long. Its hull was dark gray, layered with strange plates that moved slightly, like breathing armor. Ship didn't respond to hails. It ignored the com scans. But it didn't attack either. It just kept moving, slow, steady, silent. Ambassador Varn, a reptilian from the ancient Milari Empire, leaned forward at the conference screen. "Where is it headed?" One officer replied in a shaking voice, "Toward the Central Forum world. Toward us." Panic began to spread. No known fleet had such a ship. Not even the Veiled Dominion, who once destroyed moons with war stations. The ship had no flags, no symbols. But the strange signal it released finally translated through a forgotten archive. An old Earth file from 500 years ago. The word was clear. Titan. And just beneath it, one name. Earth. Gasps filled the chamber. The word Earth hadn't been spoken in centuries. The human species was believed extinct or hiding. No one truly remembered why they disappeared. Some said they self-destructed. Others believed they ran from their own wars. Now, it seemed they had returned. The Galactic Council debated for hours. Some called for immediate attack. Others demanded caution. But as arguments grew louder, the ship continued to approach unbothered, untouched. It was not hiding. It was not running. It was not answering either. Then, without warning, all screens turned black. Every station across 5 systems went dark. No power, no light. Then a single line of text appeared in every language. Humanity requests peaceful contact. The room froze. No one moved. No one spoke. The screens faded again, replaced with a clear image. The Titan warship hovering calmly above the star forum. It had arrived, and still no weapons were drawn. No forces deployed. Just silence. Out in space, near the Titan's hull, the temperature readings made no sense. The outer layer seemed alive, absorbing energy, bending physics. One drone that tried to scan, it melted mid-scan. Another simply vanished. The Council's most powerful AI failed to calculate its internal systems. It was a ship designed for something far beyond defense or transport. It was built for fear. Inside the war room, one young analyst, barely old enough to speak without stutter, whispered, "What do we do?" Ambassador Varn turned slowly. His eyes were wide, his scales pale. "We do nothing until they speak again." And so the galaxy waited. No shots fired. No battles started. No announcements made. Only silence. From the Titan, one final short pulse echoed out. A voice, not robotic, but human. Calm, steady, familiar, even though no one had heard such a voice in centuries. "We return. In peace." The galaxy, once buzzing with questions, suddenly fell still. Because deep down, every race remembered one thing about humans. Not their technology. Not their strength. Their silence before the storm. The Titan warship stayed in orbit. UNMOVING. It did not fire. It did not send more messages. It simply hovered like a silent mountain above the foreign world, casting a long shadow over the Council's most important city. Inside the central tower, leaders from 12 alien species argued, with raised voices. Everyone wanted to act, but no one dared to move first. They knew this wasn't just any ship. This was humanity's return, and no one was ready for it. Admiral Goal, from the insectoid Valari swarm, slammed his clawed hand against the table. We should send a probe inside, scan the ship, test its defenses. Ambassador Lyra, a soft-skinned thinker from the alien culture, replied calmly, and if that's what they want? What if they are watching, waiting for someone to panic? A silence followed, and one officer showed something on the screen, an old image. It was a human ship from 600 years ago, archived deep in the Forbidden's files. Small, crude, it looked like metal welded together with hope and rage. The ships had been powerful, but nothing like this. Next to it, the Titan looked like a god. Where did they build this? Someone whispered. No one had an answer. The humans had vanished centuries ago, during the time of the Great Fracture. Back then, they were loud, reckless, always expanding, always interfering. And suddenly, one day they were gone. Their worlds? Abandoned. Their colonies? Silent. Their space? Forbidden. Some thought they had gone extinct. Others believed they had gone into hiding after a massive war. Some feared the truth was far worse. Now, the mystery ship that called itself Titan had awakened all those fears. It wasn't just the size or power that frightened the Council. It was the quiet confidence. Titan did not boast. It did not demand. It arrived and waited on a hidden station orbiting a red giant. An old AI stirred. It was human-designed, built to activate only when Earth returned to the stars. The machine's red eye blinked twice and displayed a message. Human contact confirmed. Engage protocol. Memory. Beacon. Across the galaxy, strange beacons began to light up one by one on ancient, forgotten planets. These beacons were old human tech, but they were not primitive. Inside each was a history, recordings, warnings, data logs, and something darker. Evidence. Evidence that humans had not left by choice. They had been erased. Ambassador Lyra was the first to decode the beacon nearest to their world. It showed images from long ago, humans being hunted, silenced, betrayed by those they once called allies. Names of now powerful races showed up in the logs. The Milari, the Veil, even the Council itself. They had feared human ambition. So they united and forced Earth into isolation. Now, those forgotten crimes were surfacing again, and the ones who buried them still ruled the stars. In the Council Hall, a chilling realization spread. Titan wasn't just here for diplomacy. It was here to reveal the truth. Meanwhile, on the Titan warship, a human figure stood alone on a vast platform. He wore no armor, no helmet, just a long coat with the symbol of Earth stitched over his chest. His face showed age, but his eyes were sharp, measuring. He looked out over the galaxy from the Titan's glass deck. The stars seemed smaller now. He turned to a silent machine beside him and spoke. How long until they understand? The machine responded. Some already do. Others will soon follow. The man gave a faint smile. Good. Then we wait. Back on the Council world, as the second day passed with Titan above them like a silent judge, Ambassador Lyra whispered to her assistant, they didn't just come back to talk. They came back to show us what we've become. And in that moment, she felt it. Guilt. The kind of guilt that only comes when the past walks back in through your front door. And it's stronger than ever. ***. For 3 days, the Titan warship stayed silent. No movement. No threats. No second message dot. It simply hovered above the Council's capital world like a monument to something forgotten, or something soon to return. Down below, entire cities paused. Schools closed. Trade ships stopped flying. The skies belonged to Titan now. No species had dared to approach Dot until now. A small diplomatic craft rose from the Council's skyport. Inside, it sat 5 chosen representatives, 1 from each major race. Their mission: establish communication with the humans. Peaceful, respectful, careful. None of them knew what to expect. One alien delegate, a tall being covered in crystal-like scales, kept repeating under his breath, "They won't harm guests." Right? The pilot didn't answer Dot. As they neared the Titan, the craft began to shake. Not from weapons, but from pure energy. The warship emitted no visible shields, but scanners screamed with warnings. Energy fields shifted around it, like tides of an invisible ocean. Dot. Then suddenly, stillness. The shaking stopped. Their ship was inside, not docked, not landed. Inside. The Titan had absorbed their shuttle into a vast, glowing hangar without touching it. Doors opened. The delegates stepped out and found themselves standing inside something that didn't feel like a ship. It felt like a city. Tall black walls curved into the distance. Soft light pulsed in the floor. Strange symbols glowed gently around them. There was no crew, just silence and air that smelled like forests after rain. Then a voice echoed, deep and calm. "You are welcome. Do not lie. Do not threaten. Do not try to deceive. This is Titan." One delegate, a nervous reptilian scholar, asked, "Are we speaking to a human?" The voice answered, "No. I am the ship." A long hallway lit up ahead. They followed it, passing strange human tech weapons, engines, artifacts. No one could tell. One delegate reached out to touch a glowing panel and quickly pulled back. For a second, it had shown her own face, aged, broken, and afraid. What was that? The ship did not answer. At the end of the hallway stood a door. It opened slowly. Inside was a single room, circular, with one human. Standing at its center, he looked ordinary. No armor, no weapons. Just simple dark clothes and silver eyes that did not blink. He nodded once. "Thank you for coming." The delegates froze. None had expected this. The humans of the past had shouted, laughed, and argued. This one simply waited. The Veil representative stepped forward. We welcome you, human. We ask why you've returned." The man gave a soft smile. "We never left. You just stopped looking." He walked around them slowly, not threatening, just calm. "You speak of peace, of unity, of diplomacy. But the stars remember more than your words. They remember what you buried." The delegates glanced at each other, uneasy, guilty. Then the human stopped walking and placed his hand on the glowing floor. The walls of the chamber lit up. Holograms appeared, recordings, documents, video logs. They showed the truth. Humans being hunted, betrayed, turned on by former allies, blockaded, silenced, even erased from archives. The Council had hidden its sins well, but not well enough. "You erased us," the man said, "because you feared what we could become." The room went quiet. Then he looked each delegate in the eyes. "And now you fear what we already are." The Veil representative stepped forward. "Then why return at all?" The human didn't smile this time. "To remind the galaxy, we offered friendship once. You chose fear. This time, we offer nothing. We simply exist, whether you accept it or not." Suddenly, the lights dimmed. The walls showed stars, real-time views of deep space. And in every direction. Other ships. More Titans. More human warships waiting in the black, but none moved. None threatened. The human's voice was quiet now. We came in peace, but we do not ask for trust. We only offer truth. The doors opened again. The delegates were allowed to leave. As they boarded their craft, each carried the same weight in their chest. Humanity was not here to beg for peace. They were not here to conquer. They were simply back. The delegates returned shaken. Their voices trembled as they spoke before the Galactic Council. Their hands wouldn't stop trembling. Not because of threats, not because of violence, but because of truth. The Titan had not shown weapons or fleets of destruction. It had shown memories raw and unfiltered, and the galaxy wasn't ready to face them. Inside the council hall, the air was tense. Screens lit up with fragments from the Titan's memory archive, human voices crying out as they were betrayed, recordings of allied races turning on Earth's outposts, and orders issued by council leaders to contain humanity. All long erased from public record. But now it was all exposed. One council elder, covered in gold fur, stared at the footage in horror. This cannot be real. But it was. The codes matched. The voices were confirmed. The timestamps were accurate. The council had buried it deep. And Earth had dug it back up. Some delegates whispered for calm. Others demanded Earth be punished. Again vanished. Silenced, even destroyed before they revealed more. But one question now haunted them all. If Earth built the Titan in silence, what else have they built in the dark? Meanwhile, far from the council, in the shadowed ruins of a dead system, a hidden world blinked to life. It was a human relay station, untouched. For centuries, covered in black stone and ice, buried under silence. Now it shined. A signal pulsed from its core, reaching deep space scanners. Project Genesis. Status awakened. On a nearby mining moon, an alien team detected the message and tried to decode it. But the message came with a warning, one that translated clearly into all known languages. Do not interfere. This is not yours. They fled. Back on the capital world, Ambassador Lyra sat alone in her chamber, re-watching the recordings. From Titan. She had once believed humans were reckless explorers, too emotional to be trusted. But now she saw something else. Pain, silence, purpose. They hadn't just survived. They had waited. They had built Titan-class warships in exile, not to invade, but to remember, to carry proof, to witness. She whispered to herself. They never wanted revenge. They wanted us to see ourselves. A council general called an emergency session. He slammed his fist down. We must demand access to their tech. No race should be allowed to hold power like that. Another delegate responded. We already tried to take from them once. Look where it got us. And someone else added, what if the Titan is just one ship? Of many? They all went quiet, because deep down they knew. If Titan had returned, so had others. In a dark corner of council space, another human ship appeared, this one smaller but faster. It delivered nothing. It said nothing. It flew past border patrols and vanished into deep space. But the message was clear. Earth was no longer hiding. They were moving. Inside the Titan, the human commander stood before a massive table made of light and memory. Around him, holograms of old Earth leaders appeared, military minds, thinkers, builders. Some were real. Some were AI reconstructions. They all watched him. The ship's voice asked, do you think they will change? A man answered slowly. Some will. Others will prepare for war. That is the cycle. But now we hold the mirror. He looked up, eyes calm. Let them see what they tried to bury. And somewhere in deep space, a child on a forgotten farming world stared up at the stars as the Titan passed overhead. She didn't know what it was, but she felt something new, not fear, not wonder.hope. Asterisk. Fear began spreading, not like fire, but like ice. Slow, quiet, unstoppable. It reached every moon, every capital, every outpost. Even pirate colonies in lawless sectors whispered about the Titan. Not because it had attacked, but because it didn't need to. At a distant military world belonging to the Veiled Dominion, the High Command watched old human war footage leaked from the Titan. It wasn't just advanced. It was personal. Humans fought like they refused to die, even when outnumbered, even when bleeding, even when burning. And now, those same humans had disappeared for centuries, only to return with warships large enough to eclipse cities. The Veiled General's voice cracked as he said, "If they come for us, there's nowhere to hide." On the trading moon of Delva III, smugglers and black market tech dealers went silent. Why? Because human weapons had suddenly become the most valuable artifacts in the galaxy. Even a single Terran bullet from a past battlefield could be sold for 100,000 credits. Everyone wanted a piece of the legend, but no one wanted to face the real thing. In the Galactic Council, paranoia took root. Some races believed Titan was only the beginning, that Earth was building something larger, a second armada. Others believed humans were testing the Council's reaction, waiting to see which species still deserved peace, and which ones deserved payback. One elder spoke what many feared. They came in peace this time. But what if next time they don't ask? In secret, fleets were placed on high alert. Defense grids activated for the first time in 200 years. Ships vanished into stealth formation near human space borders. Peace talks were scheduled, but loaded with spies. Still, Titan didn't move. It watched, a silent observer floating above them, as if judging the very stars. Meanwhile, in the Titan's core, the AI ship mind processed billions of data streams, galactic news, sensor scans, lies, propaganda, plans of war, plans of surrender, secret council transmissions. All of it. It knew what was coming. So it prepared. In a private chamber aboard the Titan. The human commander stood before a large glass panel. Outside, he could see the capital world spinning below, so calm, so colorful. But he knew what that calm hid. "They will panic," the ship AI said. "Yes," he answered. "They will strike? Eventually." He turned, walking slowly across the polished floor, his boots echoing in silence. "Then why wait?" the AI asked. "Because panic reveals truth," the commander replied. "Let them show the galaxy what they are." Back on the Council world, the panic began to break into action. A rogue admiral from the Zeker Fleet Alliance couldn't wait any longer. Fueled by fear and ambition, he ordered an attack on Titan. Against direct orders. 6 heavy destroyers moved quietly into orbit. They locked weapons. They charged plasma beams. And they fired. The blasts hit Titan's hull directly. Brilliant light filled the sky. People below screamed. Then, nothing. The explosions vanished into thin air, absorbed like raindrops into a black ocean. Titan didn't flinch. It didn't retaliate. Not yet. A new signal echoed from the ship. No visuals. Just a short sentence in every known tongue. "That was your one mistake." Panic exploded across the stars. The Zeker Alliance cut all ties with the Council within hours, fearing Titan's wrath. Planets locked down. Civilian ships ran. Pirate groups offered bribes to the humans before even being asked. And yet, Titan still didn't move. It only sent one private message to the Council. "Fear is not a weapon we use. It is the one you sharpened yourselves." That night, across 10,000 worlds, children looked up at the stars with wide eyes. Not because they feared Earth's return, but because they'd heard something different. Stories. Of humans who never gave up, of humans, who came back not with fire, but with proof. Proof that even giants can walk softly. Asterisk, it happened at dawn, on a quiet orbital station far from the central worlds. Thousands of diplomats, soldiers, and traders watched as Titan finally moved. No warning, no sound, no rush, just a slow, graceful turn in space like a moon waking from sleep. Inside the Galactic Council's war room, alarms began to blink red, not from weapons, but from movement. The Titan was shifting position, not retreating, not attacking. Adjusting. Council. Commander Therex leaned forward. What is it doing? A junior officer answered with shaking fingers. It's facing the fleet, the one that fired on it. The rogue Zeeker destroyers still hovered nearby, silent now. Their captains had begged for forgiveness. The council had disavowed them. But Titan hadn't responded, not yet. Now, its front hull began to glow, not red, not violent, just bright. Like a star flickering into life. Suddenly, a massive ring near the ship's stern rotated, unfolding with soft pulses. Alien tech specialists scrambled to identify it. Is it a cannon? No, it's scanning something. Then came the shock. Titan wasn't targeting the enemy ships. It was scanning the entire system. A pulse fired, not a blast, not a missile. A wave of light. Every sensor blinked. Every defense grid went offline. Every ship Zeeker, council, trade, even hidden Black Ops vessels lost all power. Not destroyed, just off. Lights dimmed. Engines failed. Shields vanished. Complete system disarmament. A station above the capital spun slowly, drifting helplessly. A veteran pilot screamed into her comms. This isn't war. This is a lesson. And then, just as suddenly, the lights came back. Titan systems reversed the wave. One by one, ships restarted. Engines reignited. Power returned. But now, everyone understood. This was not just strength. This was control. Inside the Titan, the human commander stood silently as the ship's AI displayed thousands of reaction feeds: panic, awe, silence, surrender. They understand now, the AI said. No, the man replied softly. Now they listen. On the council world, Ambassador Lyra stood before a crowd of leaders, her hands shaking slightly. You saw what they did, she said. They could have wiped out that fleet. They could have burned our sky. But they didn't. One elder scoffed. And that makes them noble? Lyra turned to him. Her voice grew sharp. It makes them human. Across the galaxy, media channels exploded with footage. Civilians watched in silence. Former enemies of Earth whispered prayers. Old veterans saluted old flags. And deep in, the ruins of forgotten human colonies, lights turned on again, automated systems. Awakening after centuries. The message was spreading. Humanity is not here for war. But if war comes, no one survives it but them. A small moon colony in neutral space received a personal message from the Titan. It contained no warning, no orders, just a single quote from old human literature, long erased from most archives. Speak softly and carry a big stick. Back on the Titan's observation deck, the commander stood alone. He watched the stars, the council world spinning beneath, and 1,000 whispers floating across the void. He didn't smile. He simply said, "Now they know." And the Titan waited silent, patient, watching the galaxy breathe around it. Not a conqueror, a reminder. Asterisk. The sky had changed. Where once the Galactic Council's banners flew proudly over the capital world, now every eye looked upward, not at flags, but at the shadow of the Titan. Not as an enemy, not as a savior, but as something new, a boundary, lying between the old world and what came next. The council chambers were quiet. Now. No shouting, no debates, just silence. Many of its proudest members had stepped down. Others sat pale, watching Titan's silent orbit like children watching. A storm cloud that refused to pass. Ambassador Lara stood dot. She was no longer afraid. The fear had turned into understanding, and the understanding had become respect. We erased their history, she said. They returned with it. She turned toward the others, not as fire, not as vengeance, but as a reminder. We failed. They didn't. No one interrupted her. The next day, a signal came from Titan.com. Simple. We are ready to speak. Not negotiate. Not bargain. Speak. A new delegation was formed, this time smaller. No military leaders, no warlords. Only historians, teachers, and those who remembered Earth as it once was. When they boarded Titan, they were not scanned. They were not searched. They were simply welcomed. The human commander greeted them with a nod. He was the same as before, calm eyes, quiet voice. But there was something warmer now, not cold, not distant. A choice had been made. He led them to a circular chamber filled with light. But this time, the walls did not show war or betrayal. They showed Earth, blue oceans, green forests, children laughing under orange skies, old astronauts planting flags on quiet moons. Not weapons, not destruction, just life. One alien historian, soft-spoken being covered in feathers, whispered, "Is this what we tried to erase?" The commander nodded. "You tried. But we buried it deep, in ships, in silence, in memory." Another delegate asked, "And now?" He turned to them. "Now we offer it back." A council received a document an hour later. Not a demand. Not a treaty. A pact. 7 lines. No threats. Just truth. Earth would join the galactic community. Titan-class ships would remain visible, but silent. No race would be erased again. History would be shared. Peace would be respected. Justice would not be forgotten. And if any broke the pact, Earth would not return twice. No vote was held. No argument rose. The council signed it within minutes. Back on Titan, the human commander watched as the delegation departed. The ships. AI spoke. "You gave them peace when they feared your wrath." He nodded once. "That is the difference between who we were and who we became." In the days that followed, human ships emerged from hidden systems. Not warships. Relief cruisers. Medical vessels. Library carriers holding Earth's forgotten knowledge. Children of the stars returning not as warriors, but as builders. And across the galaxy, something shifted. Not just fear, not just awe, but hope. On a distant farming world, a young alien girl stood under a silver sky. She pointed up at a passing human transport ship and asked her mother, "Are those the monsters from the old stories?" Her mother smiled softly and said, "No, little one. Those are the ones who remembered." And the sky stayed quiet. Titan remained. Not a conqueror, not a god, just a reminder that some ghosts return to heal. Asterisk.